one of the world's greatest and most successful astronauts, Chris Hadfield, a Canadian hero. Born on August 29, 1959, in Sarnia, Ontario, but Hadfield grew up on a corn farm in Milton, Ontario.
He lived with his mother, Eleanor Hadfield, and his father, Roger Hadfield, who are both of Scottish and English descent. He also has a brother, Dave Hadfield.
Because he grew up on a farm, he was a very adventurous and hardworking boy. He loved sports, especially skiing, in which he later became a ski instructor and was an excellent student with high grades.
But what really inspired young Chris to pursue a career in flying was, according to him, one of the most inspirational moments in his life. When he was about 9 years old, he watched the Apollo 11 moon landing on television. It really caught his attention, and from that moment on, he was very determined to pursue a career in flying or even become an astronaut.
He attended White Oak Secondary School in Oakville, Ontario, until his senior year, and later switched over to Milton District High School, where he graduated as an Ontario Scholar in 1977. Because he was a member of the Royal Canadian Air Cadets, he received a glider pilot scholarship at the age of 15 years old, and a powered pilot scholarship at the age of 16.
In December of 1981, he married Helen Walter and had 3 children, Kyle, Evan, and Christian. When he graduated high school, he became a member of the Canadian Armed Forces, which meant he had to spend 2 years at the Royal
Roads
Military College and another 2 years at the Royal Military College. He also received a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering while studying there in 1982.
In 1983, he did basic flight training at CFB Poultage-La Prairie and at CFB Moose Jaw, where he earned his honors as the top student. After that, he trained to be a fighter pilot with the 410 Tactical Fighter Operation Training Squadron. Training sessions took place at CFB Cold Lake. Now, in case you're wondering what CFB stands for, it stands for Canadian Forces Base, which is where all the training sessions happen.
He flew the Canadair CF-116 Freedom Fighter and the McDonnell Douglas CF-18 Hornet. After his training, he decided to fly and intercept flight missions with the 425 Tactical Fighter Squadron for NORAD, or the North American Aerospace Defense Command. He was the first person controlling a CF-18 plane to intercept a Soviet Tupolev Tu-95 long-range bomber into the cold Arctic area of Canada.
Later in the 1980s, he went to the U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School, which was located at the Edwards Air Force Base in California. He also worked at NASA to test several types of new aircraft, including the McDonnell Douglas FA-18 Hornet and the LTV A-7 Corsair II during this time. After years of hard work, he finally graduated from University of Tennessee Space Institute with a master's degree in aviation systems in May 1992. By this time, Hadfield had already flown over 70 different types of aircrafts.
A month after he graduated in June of 1992, Chris Hadfield was selected to be one of 3 Canadian astronauts out of 5,330 applicants. Him, Daffodil Williams, and Julie Payette were told by the CSA, the Canadian Space Agency, to go to the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, to fix or test different spaceship designs.
Soon after, he became chief of NASA's capsule communicator, which meant that he was always in direct contact with the astronauts during space missions. He was chief for 25 missions until 1996, where he became chief for the CSA. He stopped in 2000 because he became a director of operations for NASA at the Yuri Gagarin Kosmonauts Training Center in Star City, Russia, from 2001 to 2003.
He was later chief of robotics for the NASA Astronaut Office at the Johnson Space Center from 2003 to 2006 in Houston, Texas. After he became chief of International Space Station Operations from 2006 to 2008, then from 2008 to 2009, he trained to be a backup for Robert Thurston on the Expedition 21 mission.
In 2010, Hadfield decided to be a commander for the Nemo 14 missions aboard the Aquarius underwater laboratory, where he lived and worked underwater for 14 days. That same year, NASA announced that he would become the first Canadian commander of the ISS, the International Space Station, and leading Expedition 35, which launches on the 19th of December 2012.
The space station docked 3 days later, on the 21st of December 2012. During that time, he filmed a parody of Space Oddity, made several how-to and space videos, and tweeted an awful lot. He became one of the most known astronauts ever. He is also a devoted Toronto Maple Leafs fan. During his second expedition into space, he wore his Maple Leafs jersey underneath his spacesuit and cheered on them from space.
He completed his mission in May of 2013, where he announced retiring and ending a 35-year career as a military pilot and a very famous astronaut. He eventually decided to move back to Canada to pursue personal interests and work with the government there.
He also wrote 8 books: The Darkest Dark, You Are Here, 5 auditions of the Today's Technical Manual, and An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth. He became a musician aside from being an author, launching an album called Space Sessions, Songs from a Tin Can, released in 2015 with 13 songs recorded with some of them filled with space. They are called Space Oddity, Jewel in the Night, Window of My Mind, Feet Up, Space Lullaby, Danny Boy, Caroline, In Canada, Ride That Lightning, Daughter of My Sins, Big Smoke, I Wonder If She, and lastly, Farm Auction.
He has also received many awards and achievements, and for many of these, it was for his training or his trips to space. In 1996, he received an appointment to the Order of Ontario, and later in 2014 to the Order of Canada. He was also given the Vanier Award in 2001, the NASA Exceptional Service Medal in 2002 for his great help in many things, the Queen Golden Jubilee Medal that same year, and finally, in 2012, he received the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal. He is by far the first Canadian to have received both military and civilian Meritorious Service Cross at the same time, which he received in 2001.
He was also a part of Canada's Aviation Hall of Fame. His name was added to the Wall of Honor at his old college, Royal Military College of Canada, and at the local airport in the city where he was born was changed to Sarnia Chris Hadfield Airport. And lastly, in 2014, he had the honor to sing Canada's national anthem at a Toronto Maple Leafs game at the Air Canada Centre. What an honor! We can learn a lot from the fun astronaut who always earned the right to wear his mustache by working extremely hard every day, which in fact is his biggest lesson to us. Always work your best. He didn't even need to say it out loud to the world because it was all demonstrated throughout his life. He believes that if everybody had just decided to work their hardest and always, we would achieve so much more in our lives, just like Chris did. Find a goal or dream and work your hardest until you achieve it.